Hi everybody, welcome or welcome back. It is not the start of the month, it is like a week into the month. I just got back from holiday, vacation, whatever you call it. So this is technically the start of my September, really. I wanted to go through all the books that I read in August with you. You have to bear with me a little bit in this video because I'm pretty jet lagged and I'm looking back at the books that I read at the start of the month and it feels truly 100 years ago, so bear with me. I'm gonna try and explain my thoughts and feelings on these books as best as I possibly can. The Ballad of Never After. Eva rated this a 4.5 or a 4.75, I can't quite remember, but I absolutely loved it. I think this is my favourite one in the series, question mark. Maybe the first one, because the first one I literally could not put down. I was so just into the like newness of the writing style, so I think maybe that was why I was so into it, but this one definitely has the most crumbs of romance, because in this series we really do get crumbs of romance. If you're not familiar with the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, this series follows a girl called Evangeline Fox, and she has just gone to what's his name, the Prince of Hearts temple cathedral situation to like parade to him, because the love of her life is getting married to someone else. So she's like, fix it for me kind of vibes, and then we go from there. It goes like so far beyond that. One thing that I really love about this series is like storylines that you hear about and you think are probably going to last to the end of the book, like you're like, this book is going to be figuring this out, will last like 2 chapters and then we're on to the next storyline. Like this series moves so quickly and it's really, really great. It's such like an original way of writing, I feel, at least like different from what I usually read. It's so fantastical, Alice in Wonderlandy, Peter Pan-y, like, you know, just like mystical, and like nothing is ever as it seems. I love this series. I did a reread of Addicted to You. This is the first book in the Addicted series. I have started rereading them because I love the series. Finishing it kind of inspired me to start again, because I was like, okay, I want to go back and see what these characters like were at the start, because they changed so much. This is worlds apart from the end of the series. I feel like my original rating for this was like 4-star. That's pretty accurate to like what I feel about the book. It's good, it's a good start to the series, but it's not like, if this was the only book you've read, like I don't think you'd be blown away, really remember it. But I love Lily and Lo, so I really enjoyed seeing their like start again. Okay, next book I read was Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I did a reading vlog which this was included in, which I spoke a lot about my opinions. I think it was reading highest and lowest rated books on my TBR. I think that was what it was. So if you're interested in my in-depth opinions on this, you can go watch that. I think I gave this like a 3 or a 2.5. It's honestly like a 2. Like this is not very good in my opinion. Like this is just my opinion. I don't think it's that great. I think that when people say it's a middle book, the nth degree, this is the most middle, mundane, nothing thing I have read in quite a while. It was honestly funny, so ridiculous to the point that it was funny how repetitive this book was. Genuinely, like we went from chasing, you're trying to capture, to swoony moment, to release, to capture, to swoony moment, to release, to capture, swoony moment. Like it was genuinely laughable. I almost like enjoyed my reading experience more because of how ridiculous it was. I was just like, this is insanity. I didn't love the first book either. Like I rated it a 4.25 and honestly it didn't stick with me that much. I don't know why, I just didn't connect in the way that a lot of people did. But yeah, if I had loved the first book, this would have been such a letdown. And middle book, my ass. I'm sorry. Like if you do not have enough content in your series for the middle book to be entertaining and like actually have an ounce of plot, then it should be a duology. But what do I know? It was the month of rereads apparently, because I also did a reread of Binding 13. Oh my god, it matches Winnie. Besties. This is one of my favorite books. This is a 5-star read for me. When I originally read it, I gave it 4.75, but it was just one that like really stuck around, so I upgraded it to a 5. And rereading it was such a fun experience considering how long it is. I think to keep me engaged like for that long of a book is very impressive, because I usually will fall off by the last 100 pages of a 400-page book, and this is what, like 700 pages, 800 pages, and I was fully engaged the whole time. This, similar to the Addicted series, if you don't know, is a very like character based story. You're just like looking into these people's lives, following different like little scenarios through their lives rather than following this like one plot line. I really love that personally. I love books like that. I think they're so fun. If you haven't read Binding 13, I'm not going to tell you anything about it, because I think going into it just like kind of blind, if you that's possible. I feel like you must know by now what the plot is of this, because people talk about it so much. But if you haven't read, you need to. It's so good. Okay, next I picked up A Curse of True Love, finished off the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. This book took me a little bit longer than the first two, just because it doesn't look like I picked it up straight after, but I think some of these books I was like Binding 13 I was reading along with other books. Like this was all a bit jumbled, my reading order, so this got picked up before a lot of those books, put down for a bit and then picked up again. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, I think I wanted to film another video, so I just took a break. Yeah, this book was a bit of a letdown for a lot of people when it came out. You know, people really loved and love the series, and a lot of people said that this wasn't a great ending. For me, I really liked it. I still had a really good time. I didn't really like feel, I got like the vibe I got from people was like, there is no romance in that final book. That's like not fair. Like we've been waiting for this. I don't know. I didn't necessarily feel that way. To be fair though, I did say a lot when I was reading it, I think part of why it's not as disappointing for me is because I am basically just reading it as one long story. Like I don't have the amount of time in between waiting. So if I'd read A Ballad of Never After and been like waiting and waiting and waiting for this book, I can understand maybe a little bit more. But because I just read it as all big one, I had the whole story, and yeah, I did enjoy like the start and the middle more than the end, so I can kind of get it, you know, see what I'm saying? So it wasn't as like big of like an effect of like this is disappointing for me, because I just read it continuously. But I get it, I get what people said, but I still really liked it. I feel like this is a series I'll reread. And what did I rate this? Like a 4.5 probably? I don't know. Okay, next, like I said, it was the month of rereads. I reread Ricochet, this tiniest little book in the Addicted series. People hate on this book because I guess certain characters aren't present very much. I really like this book. I liked it the first time I read it. I liked it this time. I think I would like it a little bit more than the first book, because we really get to know a certain character. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. We really get to know them outside of like the relationship that you're following throughout the series, which I really appreciated, because I feel like they're the kind of character that can maybe kind of fly under the radar a little bit. Because if you read the following books, the following series, you do find that they kind of fly under the radar, because that's who they are, that's how they act. So I did really appreciate this book, really getting to see them and know them and love them. For me personally, I really fell in love with that character in this book. Okay, the next book I read was Plot Twist by Bria Keenan. I honestly do not remember how I felt about this book that much. I feel like I rated it between a 3 and a 4, somewhere in that bracket, but I really can't recall. I know I picked it up because it looks like an Emily Henry book, and part of me was just like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. Let's see, like, show me what you got. Like, let's see if you can live up. Obviously didn't live up. But it wasn't terrible. We're following Becca Taylor, who is having just a really crap time because her best friend just passed. It says on the blurb, so I can say it. Her best friend just passed and shit's going on with her ex, and it's just, her career is just not where she wants it to be. She wants it to be a writer, she's a teacher. It's all a lot. So she ends up going to stay with this like writing friend that she met online for the summer, just to like get away. And then there's a romance and stuff. It's a trope that I usually really enjoy. And I also really enjoy like reading about bookish people, about writers and stuff like that. I really liked the start, fell off towards the end. I felt like the start was really well paced and well laid out and like kept me really engaged and interested. And then the end, there was just like so many storylines brought in that none of them were like fully fleshed out for me personally. I don't know, like that I can think of like 3 different storylines that I feel like started and then there wasn't enough room to finish them, so they just all kind of like came to a really quick conclusion that didn't feel like it left me like with like a ball of like tension of like, oh, that needs to be worked out, which is really frustrating for me when I'm reading, when something isn't like fully like saw through the way that I want it to be. What can I say? So there's like a lot of conversation about like this best friend who's passed, and then like what if this person has behaved in a way that isn't really like how you would expect a best friend to behave. I found the way that that was like dealt with really honestly like kind of strange, but it's a really hard topic to like, I still can't really get my head around it now, and it's like kind of the whole concept of that has kind of stuck with me, so I guess that's positive. And we saw like there were still a lot of excuses being made for this person, and it felt like it was coming from a place of like our main character not really working through where like maybe you do make a lot of excuses for this person, you don't really see how they really treat you, how they really are, maybe they're not that great a friend. Like I didn't find the friendship shown in this book to be as like amazing as they were wanting me to see it as. I felt like the writer was wanting me to see it as. I kept being told that these people were best friends and I never connected with anyone like this. I didn't need any other friends because I had this friend, and then I would see flashbacks of them together, or I'd hear about them together, and I'd be like, that's not my definition of friendship, but hey ho. Different strokes for different folks, what I can say. I've been talking about this for a while. Wow, maybe this book did leave me with more of an impression than I thought. Okay, the next book I read was The Vows by Jessica Joyce. I picked this up because Sarah Crowley made a Goodreads post, and she basically just listed a bunch of songs that really reminded her of this book, and I love when you can like find specifically Taylor Swift songs that really relate to books, and this one has so many. I said so many songs, by the way. Maroon, We Can't Be Friends, You're Losing Me, so many songs. This started out really good. It started out in like giving me kind of like an Abby Jimenez vibe, like I don't know if writing wise, but just the way that it makes me feel. For some reason though, it just didn't deliver what I thought it was going to deliver. Like I started off being like, oh, this is giving 5-star feelings, and it just didn't deliver that. It felt very same old in the end, which is unfortunate. Basically, second chance romance. You have Georgia and Eli, who broke up 5 years ago, but still very much thinking about each other, and they are having to come together for their joint best friend's wedding, and they're having to spend a lot of time together because they're like, you know, maid of honor and man of honor, whatever, I don't know, whatever they're called. So they're having to spend a lot of time together. I did like the characters, and I liked the plot, and like I liked a lot of it, but for some reason it just didn't, you know, didn't really keep me really engaged. I wasn't like wanting to pick up the book. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I'm gonna read her other book as well at some point. I don't know when, but maybe next spring or summer, because I feel like I'm not in the mood right now, but it had great potential. Didn't live up to it for me, but maybe it will for you. The next book I read was Summer Romance by Annabelle Mulligan. This really hooked me. I read it front to back without like any feeling of like, oh, I can't be bothered, I want to put this down. Really love. This book is about Ali, who, mother of 3, she's getting a divorce from her her husband is so fucking annoying, and her life is just very much like stagnant. She kind of feels like not herself, and like she's not been herself in a very long time. So she ends up meeting this guy, what's his name, Ethan, and he just kind of like is flirting with her. It's like any attractive girl, and it's very like new and shocking to her because she has been in this like role of like mother and like wife for so long that she's like lost who she was as a person. So having this person like approach her as if she is just like another girl, any other person, an actual full person, was like very new and very refreshing and rejuvenating almost. And we see her over the summer like dating him, and through other means kind of coming back to herself, and it was really, really lovely. I really enjoyed it. The romance was really good. The like outside plots of like family relations, there's like a grief subplot going on, which is really good and really interesting and heavily like spoken about through the book. The whole divorce thing with this guy infuriated me so much, but in such a good way. It kept me so engaged. The only thing I'd say is I saw people saying that this is not even that much of a romance, this is more of a fiction than just a romance, like a woman's fiction. There was romance in every single chapter. There was romance every other chapter. Let's be really honest. They were going on constant dates, constant flirting. There was obviously other stuff going on, but let's not act like this wasn't full to the brim of romance, okay? The last book that I finished in August was How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while. I saw Hayley Pham read it, and she was talking about it, and she said that it follows this lady called Helen, who is a best-selling author, and her book is being turned into a TV show, and she meets like the screenwriting team, and someone on the team was involved in her sister's death, and she like hates this guy. And as soon as she said that, I was like, that is so interesting. That is such an interesting dynamic to like have a relationship form out of. So as soon as like I heard that, I was eyeing this book up, so I ended up getting it. Starts off so good. I remember in the first like 100 to 200 pages, like I'd be out doing things and be thinking about wanting to go home and read the book, which I haven't felt in a while. I've been a little bit slumpy, to be honest, but this, I felt that, and that was very exciting. Had a really great time. To be honest, the second half fell off a little bit for me. I felt like this is like a 3.5, 3.75 rating overall. I really loved like all the screenwriting elements and like seeing that, and I really enjoyed Helen's dynamic with her parents. What kind of like fell off for me was honestly the romance, because it's a friends with benefits kind of situation, but they have feelings for each other, very clear, obviously. It's like you guys are flirting, getting feelings for each other, and then you decide let's do no strings attached. I just hate it. I just hate that plot. It's just so fucking annoying, especially when it's like adults. Like, I'm not reading about high schoolers or college students who are just like idiotic, obviously. These are like proper human people, like adults, and you guys are like, yeah, no strings attached, no strings fucking attached. When this is done, we are done forever, and no one gets hurt because we've said it. As if you're not both sat there like in your heads going like, well, I already have feelings for you. Like, it's just silly and unnecessary, and like if this does happen in the real world, also silly. Like, I just have no patience for that, really, ever, because it's just like I'm actually bored. Like, we know what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna get hurt, and then you're gonna decide you want to be together. Like, oh my god, it's so boring. Also, this was a lot spicier than I expected it to be. Like, it wasn't a problem for me, because like it's not like I'm avoiding that, but I was expecting like 1 to 3 max. It was like, once they started sleeping together, it was like every other chapter, and I was just like, god, I'm right, Jesus fucking Christ. So if you want to know that, just letting you know. Yeah, overall I would recommend. I thought it was good, but I just don't like that plot. So if you like that plot, that trope, then friends with benefits all the way. But I just don't. It's boring. It's boring to me. I hate the like, we said we wouldn't have feelings, so we don't, and like it's got to be over because we said it would be. Like, oh my god, like that's not how human beings actually like work and behave. Like, that's not how we do things. Like, if things change, things change. Like, it's actually so boring, and like such like a just annoying third act conflict. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired of this. Like, get a new plot point. But yeah, that's it. That's all the books that I was able to read in August. I had not a bad reading month, but I do feel like I was a bit slumpy. I was definitely a bit slumpy, and I think I did a few rereads because I was pretty slumpy. Like, I didn't care to pick up a new book, so I was just reading old plot lines. But overall, still had a good time. What can I say? Still had a very fun time. If you enjoyed this video, if you did, please give it a like, subscribe, all those things, and